This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and this is the Yes Basic Uninc. Not basic at all. Nothing basic about it. I hate that name for this board. Next to it is my good old Jones Mountain Twin, a board I own, another board I own and love, the Korua Otto, and the Yes Basic on the end. Three favorite all mountain boards right here, and then one favorite hard snow mountain freestyle board, just because it has the same name, and that's what this is based off of. I rode this primarily with my Union Atlas and my Burton Kendos, and got this in a wide variety of conditions, but nothing amazing, no deep powder days. To give you a short summary, the Yes Basic Globe is basically the Basic, but with a better base, better core, better overall construction, and it has setback inserts, so you can set this back in a powder day and get really good directional float, almost like you can with the Yes Standard, which I wish I had here, but I don't. And it has a really good camber profile that has lots of pop and a good camber feel, but still has a good amount of rocker in the nose and tail to be forgiving enough. And it's got amazing edge hold. It's a fun board to turn. It's a fun board to ride in the half pipe. It's a fun board to hit jumps with. It's a fun board to butter with. It's just a great mountain freestyle board that you can set back in powder and get good directional float. So it's one of those perfect all mountain boards, one board quiver solutions for those of you who want a little bit of everything in one board. And my only regret is that they don't make a 55 this year, because that would probably be the size I'd get. Now when it comes to sizing, this 158 felt great for my weight. At the time I was riding this, I was about 185 to 195, probably more on the 195 side. And I have size 9 boots. This worked well with my size 9 boots, but the 55 would be better for my boot size, 58 better for my weight. Now when it comes to the shape, you have a true twin here, and that's a little different than the other all mountain boards you see next to me. The Jones Mountain Twin is almost a true twin. It's a directional twin. There's a longer nose than the tail, but overall it feels very close to a true twin. Then the Otto there is directional. It is not a true twin. You can see the nose is much longer than the tail, and the side cut is more directional, where these both have a side cut that favors twin riding. And the Yes Basic, that's just a true twin with a centered stance. All of them have different camber profiles, but I would say probably out of all of them, my favorite is the Yes Basic, because it's got a pretty pronounced camber that goes past the bindings, but then a pretty pronounced rocker. So it's just a nice balance of both worlds, and it feels stable, maybe just a touch on the locked in side of stable, like the semi-locked in side, but it feels really good. It one foots really well, it tracks really well. It feels consistent in all conditions, and I love that. And you can skid a turn pretty easy, but I would say the Jones Mountain Twin's a little easier to skid a turn because it has a little less pronounced camber. The Ottos, that's probably the closest to being semi-locked in, but the rest are kind of all stable. Same with the Basic. Now let's talk flex here. You can see this has a nice medium to medium stiff flex between the feet here. It's pretty medium stiff. And then when you give it the overall flex, you can see it kind of comes out a little bit more medium. But on snow, with the rocker in the tip and tail, it gives a little bit easier than you would think based on the flex you saw right here. Taking out the Jones Mountain Twin on the same day, they both buttered really easy. I'd say the Jones Mountain Twin's a little easier, but it's not that much easier. I actually like working for the butter a little more with the Yes Basic, because you can really lean into it and you won't butter right onto your ass. And with the Otto's a little more work in the tail, but about the same in the nose. The Yes Basic is just easier than all these. Now when it comes to pop, I loved the energy in this board. It's almost there with like the Yes Jackpot in terms of how it pops. I like this stiffer flex though for mountain riding, and it really popped well. It was one of the poppiest Yes boards I've tried recently, and I loved it. The Jones Mountain Twin pops much better than it used to, and it's much more of a lively board than it used to be, but the Basic Uninc out-popped it, and the Otto pops really well too, so I think the Basic Uninc was about the same pop-wise, but just a little bit easier to access. And when it comes to the board's flex personality, this has that kind of rubbery bamboo kind of thing that pops really well, but also deals with all different types of conditions you're going to see on the mountain. Everything from hard, micro bumpy snow, all the way through to kind of bigger, uneven, off-piste kind of crap, to bumps, to messy resort snow, to tracked up snow. It handles it all really well. This flex personality has this rubbery feel to it that just absorbs things really well. Yeah, the tip and tail can bounce and buck a little bit, what I call clown shoe effect. And that's a common problem with all hybrid camber boards. They all do this, especially the Otto in the nose there. It has this kind of bouncy thing when you pick up speed, but that chatter never really comes up into your feet with any of these boards so much. I'd say the Jones Mountain Twin can get a little chattery in hard snow, but it's still manageable. This just seems to absorb it all. It just has this cool rubbery feel while still being poppy, and I just love that for all conditions riding. And the bass is fast. It's not as fast as the Jones Mountain Twin. That's the fastest I've had at this price point for an all-mountain board that I can remember while I'm doing this review. But it's right there with the Otto. It's a good bass, and if it's well waxed, it's going to keep its speed and glide really well. And you can point it with this board. I probably want to point it with the Otto. That would be my first choice out of all these boards. If I knew I had lots of long, flat cat tracks I had to get out of, it'd probably be the Jones Mountain Twin next, because that bass glide is the best. But the Yes Basic Uninc is close to these boards. Now, when it comes to edge hold, this guy, the Basic Uninc and the Basic, just kill it in hard snow. This is a great hard snow specialist. This is even more appealing in hard snow than my Yes Greats, because it has this underbite, and it's just an indention at each binding that creates this disrupted side cut, and it just grabs really hard in hard snow. It grabs a little bit too much in soft snow too, but it's something you can get used to and you can deal with, and it's just like full magnet traction, maybe a little bit less in terms of how it grabs in soft snow, but it grips just about the same in hard snow. So it's pretty cool. It can feel a little hooky, a little catchy sometimes, and it comes and goes, but it's not something that's a deal breaker at all, just something to be aware of. And I just love this grip. And in comparison, the Jones Mountain Twin's really good. It has a disrupted side cut, but it's more of a hard snow specialist and not an ice specialist. This can handle icy conditions. The Otto's a little behind both, but still a very competent board when it comes to edge hold, and it does pretty well, just better for good snow than these guys. These guys with their disrupted side cuts just shine a little bit brighter in the hard snow. Now, when it comes to the turning experience, this is really quick edge to edge. I would have loved to have seen this in a 55, because that would be the board I would own. But as a 58, it turned really quick, kind of medium quick. And then when you got it on edge and you engaged that camber and this side cut, it turned really well. The Otto has a pretty balanced turning experience, and I can carve across the groomers really well with that and circle carve. It's a little wider. The turn initiation's a little slower than the other two boards here, but I would say the Otto is probably the slowest for me with its 26 centimeter waist. Then the Jones Mountain Twin is a little faster, but still kind of in that medium fast. And then the Uninc is probably the most turny of the three all mountain boards here, and it's kind of right there with the Yes Basic, only a better flex, stiffer flex, more dynamic, more poppy. And so it just really springs out of a turn. And you can kind of do any kind of turn. You can still do long drawn out S turns pretty well. You can still do medium wide turns pretty well. But what I really liked with this board is just really cutting across the groomer and getting close to that circle carve. That's what I loved about this board. It's still pretty balanced, but it has a really fun springy turning experience throughout everything. Now, when it comes to powder, you can get 2.25 inches back from center of board with a 22.5 inch stance width. You just need to have full-size discs, and it would be great to have discs that you can slide back and forth so you can adjust your stance width to maybe get this a little narrower, like I would try. But with that rocker and that setback on board, which is more than this guy's like 1.6, 1.75, something like that. It's gonna be a better floater than the Jones Mountain Twin in some aspects, but the Jones Mountain Twin does have like that cool turned up sides in the nose, so it has a better turning experience in powder than the basic Uninc. And then the Otto is going to be the winner here because that has a lot more setback on board. I think it was closer to something like 3 and 3¼ inches, something like that. And it's much more directional and it's much more floaty, but it's the least fun to ride switch. And speaking of switch, this basic Uninc is the best out of the 3 all mountain boards here, and right there with the basic when you have this centered on side cut. It's just really doable. The Jones Mountain Twin's really close because it is a directional twin. And the Yes Basic it's a true twin with a centered stance, so it's practically perfect switch. So for mountain freestyle riding, you know, the basic Uninc and the basic is my first choice, second Mountain Twin, third Otto. And this is a great half pipe board. Oh, I just love it. If they had a 155, that would be perfect for me in the half pipe. I love a little bit shorter board in the half pipe and just riding the mountain and kind of playing around, being a little more mellow. But this 58 is great too. Now going into a kicker, I just like the Jones Mountain Twin probably the best, but the Otto's great too. It really has pop and really drives into a kicker well. But the basic Uninc is really great there too. It's right there with them, and it just depends on what kind of rider you are. If you're gonna lap the park, this could work for you, no problem. So overall, every year they do a new board, and every year I say, nah, I'm not gonna get it. I just don't need a board that's gonna change probably the following year. But then I ride it and I'm like, man, this is such a worthwhile investment for anybody who's looking for that one board quiver that just, they can only take one board. Maybe you're somebody who has to ride with beginners and intermediates sometimes and you need something mellow, but then when you're alone, you want to go faster and have a good time. This is the choice. Or if you need something that rides kind of mountain freestyle-y, you like to ride switch like myself, you like to kind of play around and butter on the mountain, but you want something you can set back and powder and get decent directional float, this is an excellent choice, especially if you ride in hard snow but want to be ready for powder. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now if you need advice, fill out the Me Harmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.